The Time Machine is a 1960 American post-apocalyptic science fiction film based on the 1895 novel of the same name written by H.G. Wells. It was produced and directed by George Pal and starred Rod Taylor, Yvette Mimieux, and Alan Young. The story begins on January 5, 1900, when a disheveled H.G. Wells, known as George to his friends, arrives late to his own dinner. He begins recounting to his guests his travels in his time machine, a project they were already aware of but viewed with skepticism regarding its practicality and functionality. George knew his machine remained fixed in its geographic position, but he hadn't considered the changes that occurred in that location over time. Moreover, he would soon discover that the machine was not invulnerable and that he himself was not immune to those who didn't understand its purpose. He explains that instead of finding a utopian society as he had hoped, he encountered two groups of people thousands of years in the future: the subterranean Morlocks and the Eloi who live on the surface. At first glance, the Eloi led carefree lives despite the many challenges they faced. Love, he observes, could still flourish across millennia. The film was released in August 1960 and distributed by MGM. It won the Academy Award for Best Special Effects for its time-lapse photographic effects that depicted the world changing rapidly as the time traveler moved forward into the future. George Pal was already known for his pioneering work in stop-motion animation. In 1958, a Japanese producer proposed adapting H.G. Wells's novel. Initially, Pal struggled to convince Hollywood of the concept, but MGM's British studio was much more receptive. The name of the film's main character, simply referred to as George, connects both to George Pal and the original author H.G. Wells. The production was completed on a tight budget and a shooting schedule of just 29 days. Rod Taylor was the director's first choice to play the time traveler after numerous conversations about the project during lunch meetings. Taylor admitted he was fascinated by the director's sketches that detailed various scenes. Initially, the director wanted the machine's disc to spin clockwise to travel into the future and counterclockwise to go into the past, but due to cost and complexity, this feature was abandoned. Many props in the film were reused from the 1956 movie Forbidden Planet. For instance, the globe scene in the background when George listens to the talking rings was used as a navigation sphere in Forbidden Planet. Additionally, a large circular screen and a square panel on the wall, which appeared on the spaceship's control bridge in Forbidden Planet, also makes an appearance. The shape of the time machine was inspired by the director's childhood favorite vehicles, particularly a sled, to give the sense of sliding through time. In a scene where the time traveler stops in 1966 in front of Philby's department store, a display briefly shows the latest tubeless television, remarkably resembling today's flat-screen monitors and TVs. The grand staircase leading to the Great Dome is a famous MGM landmark among trivia enthusiasts. Built for a 1944 film, it was saved from destruction by an executive who thought it might be reused. Located outdoors on MGM's Lot 3, near the Meet Me in St. Louis set, it appeared in numerous films and TV shows, including The Twilight Zone. The original time machine was sold at an MGM auction in 1971. The same auction that sold Dorothy's ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz. The auction winner was a traveling showman. 5 years later, the prop was discovered in a second-hand store in Orange, California. Film historian Bob Burns purchased it for $1,000 and, using blueprints given to him by George Pal years earlier, restored it with the help of friends. During the air raid scene, as people rush to take shelter, a little girl crosses the street and stops to pick up a dropped toy. It is revealed to be a small figure of Woody Woodpecker, chosen because the character's creator, Walter Lantz, was a close friend of George Pal. The long shot of Georgia Street in the 1966 air raid scene is a composite of left and right sections and a matte painting at the top. The right side, featuring Philby's department store, was filmed at the Victorian-style David Copperfield Court on MGM's Lot 2, while the left side was shot elsewhere in the same lot, with the top portion digitally enhanced with futuristic architecture. Until her passing on January 17, 2022, Yvette Mimieux was the last surviving cast member of the film. She was cast as Weena despite having no prior acting experience. During her screen test, George Pal noticed her innocent personality and quickly chose her for the role. The studio, however, had doubts. Mimieux lied about her age, claiming she was 18, though she was only 17 when filming began, limiting her time on set as she was still a minor. She initially struggled, but gradually improved and impressed everyone as her confidence grew. Her performance improved so much that the director res-hot some of her earlier scenes to reflect her newfound skills. Revisit this 1960 classic. It's a fun watch.
Here we end. Thank you for your attention. Like and subscribe. There are many interesting things ahead. Good luck.